Welcome to Raider Talks. I am your host, Art Navarrete, here alongside Nick Ibarra. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button down below for Raider content all season long. Make sure to stick to the end, as we'll be doing our keys to the game, our score predictions, and our offensive and defensive player of the game predictions for the Raiders. Nick, Raiders, Steelers, trying to bounce back after a bad loss to Buffalo. How are you feeling going this week?
No, yeah, I feel good. Sunday Night Football, under the lights, Sin City, home opener. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I really didn't see too much out of Pittsburgh on Monday, and today, like the whole game day info came out and everything, and seeing where we rank and where they rank, it's gonna be a good, interesting battle.
Yeah, this should be a game that the Raiders should win. I think if they lose this one, then we start hitting the panic button a little bit, Nick.
Yeah, then you can start looking at what's really going on. Is it coaching? Is it quarterback play? We know it's defense, but you can start pointing fingers and start narrowing it down what's really the problem. But this season's still way too early, and we go into game 3.
Yeah, before we dive deeper into this football game, we're going to talk about the next 4 games right now, Nick. We got Pittsburgh, we got the Chargers, we got Green Bay, and we got New England. These next 4 games, 3 out of 4 are at home. Coming off a bad loss against Buffalo, we're still in first place, though.
Yeah.
These 4 games, they look very winnable for the Raiders. I think they can go 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I honestly think, I'm not getting too ahead of ourselves, they can even win all 4 of these.
Yeah.
If you look, Pittsburgh comes in struggling on offense. Their defense is almost dead last, and you got them as a home opener, and then looking ahead, you got the Chargers, where we're over there, but it's really Las Vegas 2.0 over there, which is how many fans and everything. And then Green Bay, you can look at as a tough one. We don't see them too much, but with the Jordan Love and that new looked team, that could be this going to be a good one, and that could be a win right there. And then the Patriot one, they're kind of struggling too offensively and everything, and haven't started out 0-2 in a long time under Belichick. So this is the one where you can sit here and run the table and really do some damage.
I always think we can win them all, obviously. But I think it's very, very doable to go win 3 out of these 4 games,
especially at home.
And 4 out of 4 is doable as well. But I think you got to win these games at home against very winnable opponents, which is Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and New England.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pittsburgh has not shown to be a really great team so far, a team that the Raiders should beat. And if we don't, obviously we have problems. But then you got Green Bay, who is a team that looked so good in week 1, but in week 2 didn't look as good.
Slowed down a lot
with a young quarterback. You would think a veteran quarterback in Jimmy G, veteran wide receiver, and Devontae Adams playing his former team, you would think will win that game at home. And then New England, a struggling New England team that I don't think anyone sold on Mac Jones. And so that should be a winnable game as well. Beat them last year in a crazy miracle.
And that Charger one's gonna be important too. Division game.
Yeah.
You get that one. You're 2-0 in the AFC, and you're on the road. Both of them on the road, really looking good.
And those are the 3 we're supposed to win right there. Those 3 for sure. All the home games. You gotta win all the home games.
Yeah.
And the Charger one is just a 50-50 toss-up. Are we going to win that game? What team is going to show up? It seems like every game against the Chargers is a close matchup.
Yeah, and it just seems like with everybody, and maybe except for the Chiefs, but we match up with the Broncos, we match up with Chargers. It's going to come down to that last possession. It's going to come down to the last 5 minutes of the game, of who wants it more, who has the ball in their hands at the last, or who makes it a good stop. That one's gonna be a good one. I always love division games.
Yeah, looking ahead to these 4 games, again, when you see Pittsburgh has Kenny Pickett, when you see Green Bay has Jordan Love, and then New England has Mac Jones, you look at those 3 games against those quarterbacks, and those quarterbacks don't scare you. The thing about the Charger game that scares me a little bit is Herbert.
Yeah.
And the way he plays the game. It's similar to Josh Allen, and Josh Allen absolutely torched us, Nick. So it's going to be huge for the Raiders to improve this week against Pittsburgh to gain some momentum against the Chargers and Justin Herbert.
Especially defensively. Get that momentum going in. You're facing Herbert. You're facing one of the elite quarterbacks, one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC. But then, you kind of look at the record and what he's done against us. Really hasn't killed us. I think beat us maybe once or twice. But, in the big games, I mean, we go back to the, week 18, Sunday Night Football, we beat him. I think his first start against the Raiders, we beat him in SoFi. So I that's the thing that doesn't worry me, but this Chargers team and what he can do kind of worries me a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely worries me, especially from the performance put up against Josh Allen. That's what worries me more about the Herbert game facing the Chargers. So the Raiders in the first 6 games, Nick, what's your record prediction for Las Vegas?
6 games, we're 1-1. I like 4-2. I think you get through the first 6, 4-2, you're looking good.
I think so as well. I think 4-2, we're looking good, and I love where we are heading. 5-1, it's on.
I'm gonna say this,
but
if we go,
we just need to go 4-2.
You're right, because I think last year we sat here, hey, before the bye, we're gonna go 5-0 on this and that. You come by time we're 1-5, thinking like, man, is the season really done?
Yeah.
So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But I'm just saying, going into that Chicago game when this good chunk of your season's already done, or the first 25-30% a little bit, going into that Chicago game, if we are 5-1, you look at it as 2 division wins on the road, and yeah, I mean you're looking good.
Yeah, you're kind of looking at these games, these next 4 games, as a little bit of a gauntlet, because you got Pittsburgh, who should be a winnable game, but they're always tough to play. Mac Tomlin's a very good head coach that always has his teams prepared.
Pickett has a good primetime record.
Yeah, and then you go with the Chargers, who are always 500 against them every year for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Green Bay, who's a tough team that showed good promise in week 1, dropped off in week 2 a little bit, but they're a good football team. And New England is just always a solid football team. They've just been dropping games a little bit last couple years. But then after that, you go and you face Chicago, you face Detroit, you face the Giants, who are struggling a little bit, and you face the Jets. Those 4 games are very, very winnable. So if you can get out of these 6 games 4-2, I really like what the Raiders can do.
Yeah, I you zoomed it a little bit down, and that looks really well. You pile some of these wins together, and we're only going into week 3. A lot of these teams can change as we see. You see on the thing. We should be having Aaron Rodgers at in about 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's not. We thought the Giants were something, and they haven't looked good. We thought the Bears, this was going to be their year. They haven't looked good. So, now just looking at it, and, like I said, a lot of things to change. Players get hurt, or, how they're coached or whatever. But you're right. These next 6-7 games, I mean, you pile some wins together, we come out of this thing looking really scary and real threat for the AFC West.
Yeah. So I just wanted to look into those 4 games and show how important it is, because the next 4 we have are very, very winnable football games. So hopefully the Raiders can come out of these first 6 games at 4-2. 4-2, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable. Even a 3-3 record, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
So this Las Vegas team is getting into a little bit of a gauntlet here kind of early and gets solid opponents, but winnable games, and you're playing a lot of these games at home.
Yeah, especially these next 4. And I'm not being, whatever, but this Charger one, they do practice on Raider Week with artificial noise. They do prepare for a lot of black and silver in the stadium. So I'm just gonna say these next 4 are home. Like you got Raider Nation with on your side.
Yeah.
These are the next 4. They're winnable. They're a little tough, a little hard, but they are winnable. 2 of them are on prime time. We come out of this looking great. We're in for a great season.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this schedule we have and those next 4 games coming up, as they're going to be very, very huge for the silver and black. Now let's go back to this Pittsburgh game now, Nick. The game that's really important right now at this moment. Got to take it 1 game at a time.
Yeah.
Just wanted to look ahead a little bit. It's fun to do that. But Pittsburgh Raiders really need to bounce back in this one, Nick. Really need to bounce back. And I think everybody's eyes are on the defense in this game.
And this is a perfect game to do it with a struggling offense. You know what I mean?
Struggling QB.
Struggling QB, struggling kind of offense. Everybody looked at Josh Allen and said, oh, well, he's going to make his bounce back against this Raider defense because they suck or they're dead last. Well, I'm just going to say this for our offense and defense. This could be our bounce back, just the way that Pittsburgh does things.
Yeah.
They're defensively kind of led, but statistically, they're almost dead last. You know what I mean? So it's just, this could be a bounce back week for us, for everybody to have really good games and get the season really rolling.
Yeah, this Pittsburgh team won their last game because of defense. TJ Watt made some big plays, and looking at that could be the big problem for the Raiders, especially with the offensive line that did not look good last week.
Yeah, but we got Colt Miller and Illuminor, and I was looking at some stats.
I'm not sold on Illuminor.
But you know,
are you sold on Jermaine Illuminor?
I saw a stat.
I saw Pro Football Focus grades too, but you saw what was on. You saw the field.
I saw.
You watched the game, didn't you?
You know, I saw that, but I like our edges against that. And you're right, TJ Watt's going to be a lot to handle. It's going to be a handful. He leads the league in sacks. He had a really big week 1, and kind of just like Max Crosby, just does everything.
Yeah,
he's all over the field. That's going to be a good one to see which edge comes out with more sacks or more stuff to do. But you're always gonna have to look at TJ Watt when he's on the field.
This is gonna be a big game for Jimmy Garoppolo, a bounce back game for Jimmy. Let's see, Jimmy's a winner, right? Jimmy's a winner.
Yeah,
all he does is win. Let's see if Jimmy can get out of this little hole with this 1 game loss. That was a bad loss, and I think this is gonna be a game where the offense is gonna need to be a little quicker plays, screen plays, quick slants, because I think you're gonna have a TJ Watt and some of that line coming at you early in the game.
Yeah, everything's get going early, get everything fast. Under the bright lights, Sunday night, we're the only game on. Everybody watching us. Let's go out and let's perform, and let's show the world what we got.
Last week, the Raiders' defensive line looked not good at all. Even Max Crosby didn't do too much. Tyree Wilson didn't do too much. Couple hustle plays we saw from Tyree Wilson. Max Crosby made some plays as well. But that interior defensive line for the Raiders, defensive tackles, do not look good for the Raiders, not getting pressure at all. Teams are running all over us. This is huge for this Raider defensive line, especially against a struggling offense, like you said.
Yeah, no, they got to get in and block the holes and get after the quarterback. This is you win games, you lose games at the line. You got to protect and you got to go after the quarterback. And it just seems like we can't do both. We can't do any of the two.
Yeah, to me, it feels like you can't tell how good our safeties are, our linebackers are, our corners are, because I mean, the quarterbacks have all time to throw. Yeah. Josh Allen had all day to throw. So you can't tell how bad the secondary is. I know we saw some plays with Bennett where he got beat a little bit on film. He didn't get beat. He was just taking – they're in a zone coverage, and Ja'Cory Bennett was going to the wrong person every time. Is that a schematical thing? Is that his thing? We'll see next week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But I think like you just said, you can only cover a guy for so long before he does his thing. There's a lot of talented wide receivers and tight ends and pass catchers out there, and when you get no pressure, and quarterbacks have all the time in the world, they do special things with that ball. Yeah,
speaking of watching the film and stuff, Jimmy missed a couple guys as well. Missed Renfro down the middle of the field, missed Devontae down the middle of the field for touchdowns in this football game. It's going to be a huge bounce-back game for Jimmy, like I said, and for him to find those guys this time.
He needs a productive, efficient game this week, and I don't care for how many yards he throws for or touchdowns. He just needs to come in and look good, and I think, and I'm harping on this, but the offensive line has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
we got to get this running game going. We got to protect him a little bit more time to throw. I think I saw a stat that he had some time to throw, but just get everybody involved. I mean, he's got to be efficient.
You know who's the one guy that we need to get going? One guy that we need to get going that can change this Raider offense and change this Raider team.
Who is it?
Who do you think? I'm thinking
Renfro.
I knew you were going to say Renfro, but that's not the guy.
Josh Jacobs.
No.
Then who are you talking about?
Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
Trey Tucker. I mean, you give this guy the ball, and he's going to do some special things. He only had, I think, a couple looks in the game. We gave him a little handoff.
For 34 yards, and that was it, right?
Yeah, for 34 yards. And then we threw one down the field to him. Jimmy threw like a 50-50 ball. He made a play, fills out of bounds.
Yeah. They
called a flag, but they picked up the flag. But Trey Tucker's a game changer, Nick.
Yeah.
Trey Tucker is like a Tyreek Hill. It could be like a Tyreek Hill for us, and what Tyreek Hill's doing with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And Tua doesn't have the greatest arm, but he's hitting Tyreek Hill. I think Jimmy, if he anticipates Trey Tucker and hits him, he can have the effect of a Tyreek Hill or of even like a Henry Ruggs when we had Henry Ruggs.
He can come in and be that guy to where if we're going to, like we gave him the ball just one time, boom, 35 yards. Or, hey, you're just going to be our little deep threat. Go out and just make a couple plays.
He's explosive.
If he touches the ball 4 or 5 times, he's got a great chance of getting 100 yards just like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not talking stat wise or whatever, but I'm just saying of what he can do. And we saw a little bit of that. You know, caught the deep ball. I mean, he was out of bounds, but if that was inbounds, that was what, a 30, 40 yard play.
Yeah,
and then another 30, 40 yards rushing. Yeah, that's just by 2 looks right there. Yeah.
And you can set up screenplays for him because he's so quick, so fast, so shifty. But Trey Tucker is a guy like we need to look out for. That's a guy that we can use, and teams are going to have to start game planning for that type of guy.
And it frees up a whole lot more, yeah.
Yeah, Trey Tucker's an animal, and when I mentioned his name, it looked like your eyes lit up. Like, yeah, you're right, Trey Tucker.
I totally forgot about that. I think everybody right now is not focusing, but on Jacob's struggles a little bit.
Yeah,
and Renfro only getting one ball or a couple balls, and you kind of forget about Trey Tucker. But you're right. I think the Buffalo game was a good way to look at. You just give him the ball a couple times and look what he does with it.
Yeah, to me, Trey Tucker's ceiling and his ability and to be able to help the team is higher than Hunter Renfro, who could be limited to some things.
Yeah.
I think Trey Tucker is a guy that can be a huge, huge difference. And this is the league now where the fast guys with a long ball are winning football games.
Yeah, it seems like everybody who's doing special things is just fast. Just no matter what. I mean, you look at Lamar Jackson, fast, doing great things. Tyreek Hill, fast, boom, doing great things. You know, like you said, when we had Ruggs, fast, he was starting to do great things.
Yeah.
So now this could be the next up and comer of just doing great things.
Yeah. So I just want to mention Trey Tucker because I think he can be a guy that can take this Raider team to the next level. That's why I wanted to mention him.
Yeah. You give him the ball a couple times, that's easy yards right there.
Yeah. And we'll move on to the Renfro situation a little bit. And I don't think Renfro's he's not out of the game plan or anything. Is it just him not getting open? We saw him on film getting open once.
Yeah.
But is it just him not getting open? Whose fault is it? People are so fast to blame Renfro, or so fast to blame the offensive play calling Josh McDaniels for not getting Renfro involved. But is it that, or is it Renfro not getting open?
It might just be both. There's a couple of times where we saw where he is open. And then but then there's also times where he's not on the field. So you can look at it either way. I just think I look at it as, we lost Jacoby Myers last week. And then you kind of look at it, and then Hunter's in, Hunter's out, Hunter's in, Hunter's out. And I just think you should find him the ball a little bit. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler. We know that he does special things with the ball. Great route runner. So it's 50-50 to see, is he really, because we're not seeing it all. Is he really not getting open? Is it his fault, or is it the game planning and he's just not in the game plan at all?
Yeah, after watching this Buffalo Bills game, I don't know what to expect from this Raider team this week.
Yeah. Offensively or defensively? Or just both? Yeah.
The whole, as a team in whole.
Because I'm going to just say that, our first drive, and everything scripted, that was a great first drive.
Beautiful first drive.
And offensively and defensively.
Yes.
You go in, you punch him in the mouth, and it was a beautiful drive, and you got Devontae in. You get there, and then, you get Josh Allen off the field 3 and out, and you're just thinking, okay, this is something. We put up 3 or 7, this game's on.
Yeah.
And then after the interception, it all fell apart. So it's just consistency. Like you need to build on that, and that's something that we haven't done in quite a while.
Yeah, that's what makes this game so interesting to me. Is that, like, what do we expect from this team? There's nothing really. It's a weird game to go into, because are we going to go in and play like we played against the Bills? If we go in and play like we played against the Bills, we're losing to any team in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Are we going to be the team that played against the Broncos? That was kind of a tight game the whole time, made some mistakes, but finishes out in the end?
Yeah.
Are we going to beat a team by 10 or more? What are we going to do in this game? So I'm very interested to see what they do against a struggling Pittsburgh Steelers team at home, prime time. Let's see what they do.
And if you look at it, just what these offenses are doing, it just seems like it's going to be like a very boring game. It's going to be an AJ Cole type of game, punter kind of game. But I just think, we just need to be efficient. Just everything needs to be efficient. Yeah. Offensively, defensively, Garoppolo, Jacobs needs to start going and, getting some more people involved. And, I like the way we used Devontae last week, and really, show everybody on primetime what's up.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes against the Steelers. Nick, let's get into our keys to the game. What's your first key to the game, Nick?
Get Jacobs rolling and get him rolling early. You know, I'm tired of seeing this All-Pro go for -1, -2, 0 yards, 1. Oh, look, he broke one. Oh no, it's only a gain of 2. Get him going early. He's an All-Pro. He's a really good running back, and it's a shame after 2 weeks he's only got like 40-something yards.
Yeah, my first key of the game is win in the trenches. Defensive line, offensive line. You had a terrible game last week. Very terrible. Time to step up. Time to step up in the trenches. Win that battle in the trenches. Want it more.
My second one, time of possession. Last week, third quarter, that was horrible. Just seeing nothing but defense and only offense being out there for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. That was horrible. Win the time of possession battle, and keep the ball out of their offense. Even though they're struggling, just keep the ball out of their offense. Give your defense some rest, and offense go to work.
Yeah, my second key of the game is just better effort. Just better effort than last game. Last game, the effort was bad. I mean, I see guys going through the motions on the field.
Yeah.
I see guys, not fighting for that extra yard while the other team is. Just want it more. Want it more than the other team. A way better effort this week. And I think we can be in any football game.
Yeah. My third one's kind of like yours. Just be efficient. Garoppolo, be efficient. Jacobs, be efficient. Offensive line, be efficient. Defense, be efficient. We've got to look good. I can't keep saying this more. We're on prime time. We're the only game. Everyone's watching us. And either we're going to surprise some people or we're going to be the laughingstock again.
My third key of the game, I'm going back to Trey Tucker. Let's get Trey Tucker involved. Get him the football, and he'll make things happen. Let's get Trey Tucker involved in this football game.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Yeah, so now let's do our offensive and defensive Raider play of the game predictions, Nick. We'll start offensively this week.
Devontae Adams, first of the year. I liked how they incorporated him last week. I'm glad he's healthy and he's ready to go for this week. Prime time. He's going to show out and he's going to have a big game.
I got to think about this one. This one's tough. I'm not going Jacobs. I don't think he's fully into his groove yet to where he's going to win a play of the game, but I do think he's going to help us win this football game. Maybe get a couple touchdowns this week, finally get in the end zone. Trey? No, I'm just kidding. We'll go Jimmy G. We'll go Jimmy G for this one. First game at home. I think the fans are starting to buy into Jimmy G, starting to love him as our quarterback. I think Jimmy G's going to show out and do some good things for us this week.
It's
his city now.
Yeah, he's wearing black for the first time too, huh?
Yeah. I'm going Jimmy G.
You're right. This is his first time in Allegiant, and he said he was excited. Touring stadium and walking around. He said he couldn't ready to play. Well, this is your time. Come on, Jimmy G.
Yeah, I'm going Jimmy G. Everyone's bought. I think a lot of people are buying on Jimmy G. Everyone's pumped up about Jimmy G. It's his city now. He's the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think it's going to be the time where he embraces it. And this is his first time where I think it really hits him that I'm a Raider, and I think it's going to motivate him even more. And I think we're going to start getting on a roll.
Yeah, hopefully this home opener does it.
Yeah, defensively, Nick, who do you
defensively
got?
Until someone proves me otherwise, it's gonna be Max Crosby. It seems like he's the only one showing maximum effort every play. It seems like he's the only one trying to do things and really not screwing up. You can't really screw up with two or three guys are triple teaming you. And there was one player I saw. He was on the other side and came and basically ran almost across the field and made the tackle out of bounds. And that's just the effort that I like. Max Crosby is going to outperform T.J. Watt this week.
All right, defensively for the Raiders, I have not given up on this guy, Nick. I've not given up on him. I think he's going to have a big game. First game at home as well. Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
Tyree Wilson every week is just going to get better. He's just getting his legs back. I think he's going to have a big game, and he's going to show why we drafted him in the first round.
Yeah, and I'm going to just say this. I don't think he was supposed to play as much week 1, week 2. We're supposed to have Chandler Jones, and then him and Kuntz kind of shared that limited snaps. But with Chandler Jones gone and how weak this defensive line is, it makes everything bad. But you're right. I think as time goes on, he's going to show why we picked him number 7.
Yeah, and I think this week, Tyree Wilson's going to show out, get some sacks, get in his groove, and get the Raider fans pumped up for him. I think a lot of people are giving up on him way too early. I know Khalil Mack didn't have the greatest first two games, three. I don't even know if he had a good full season.
I don't think he had a sack. I think if I can remember, he had 4 sacks his rookie season, and didn't get a sack until like late November.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're right. I mean, I think everybody called him slow and a bust after a handful of games, and then look how he turned out. So I just think because of the size and what he is doing, I think Tyree Wilson's gonna have a great career.
Yeah, I think this is week as well. Now let's get into our score predictions, Nick. What are you thinking for this football game?
Man, as much as I want to come out here and say, man, Sunday Night Football, we're going to be in the end zone a whole bunch, score 30-something points, I honestly think we're going to win like 21-13. I think defense shows out kind of like Broncos a little bit, and offense takes their bumps a little bit, but when it really matters, we put up some points and we come out of here with victory.
I'm going to go 24-21 Raiders. I think that's a pretty good score. I think the game's going to look closer than it really is. I think they're probably going to get a last-minute touchdown or something and try an onside kick late in the game or something like that. Yeah. But 24-21 Raiders is what I got. This is showing signs of being a pretty good football game. Raiders struggled last week. Steelers don't look too good so far. But both 1-1 teams, and we'll see how it goes. Allegiant, Sunday Night Football, and usually Sunday Night Football, it's usually crazy. It's usually close games and good games. So,
yeah, this was placed on Sunday Night Football for a reason. Like I said, statistically looking at it, offensively, defensively, this should be a boring game, but it's going to be far from that. I think we've got the weapons to sit there and make this thing interesting and win.
You always told me, Nick, Allegiant Stadium is a what?
Allegiant Stadium. Every game in Allegiant Stadium should be played prime time.
It's a nighttime stadium right there.
Yes, and
it's a prime time. Stadium.
It's a prime time. It's beautiful prime time. When we were there, Raiders Chargers. It was beautiful. And then we would go to the Cardinal one, and it looked like completely different. So the stadium was made for prime time. We've got a prime time game this week. Let's go do it.
Yeah, let's go win this game, Nick. Man, this is a big one for the Raiders. This is a big one. This game might define our season in a way.
Yeah, and it's not a season ender or no, but it's a season changer.
Yes,
and you're right. It can define a season. It can say, hey, we're 1-1. We had a good game. We had a bad game. Let's see how we come out week 3. If we come out looking like the Bills, how we play against the Bills, that's us. Like, honestly, that's us. That's our style of football. But if we come out looking how we did against the Broncos, efficient, good, made the stops and won, then that's probably the team that we have too. So, this is ready, your third time at it. The rust and everything should be off. You're ready to practice for a certain amount of time. Game plan, watch film, did everything, and this is your third game. There's no excuses. We got to go do this.
Let's win this game. Root hard for your Raiders. We'll see you guys for the Raider Talks game recap. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.